There's a lot of things going on here that give people a reason to want to move to North Carolina. And some of that is related to sports. And college sports in this area is huge business. I think we all recognize that it's huge business now, right, Lauren?
Yes.
I mean, how often have we gone when we started
Some of us recognized it before.
Well, this is true too. But let's think about your time when you were at UNC or when I was at NC State and the athletic facilities when we were in college versus where they are today.
Yeah.
And also the amount of money that's going to the coaches and everything else. So business, right? It's all a business. We all recognize it's a business. Except those who are making decisions at the highest level of government still don't want to accept this. And they're still living in this weird world where no. The beauty of college athletics is the amateurism. The fact that they're not getting paid.
It's honestly too precious. I can't with those people.
So here's Rand Paul. Rand Paul is a libertarian last time I checked, which is ironic given what he's just about to say about unpaid labor. But this was during a live PGA antitrust conversation taking place in DC. And out of nowhere.
Well, you know what politicians handle well? Sports business conversations.
Yeah, this is true. So Rand Paul out of nowhere decides to go on a non sequitur rant about college basketball and getting paid.
The court ruled unanimously that the NCAA can't invoke their rules. And so they've completely screwed up college athletes. We used to be proud. Many of us love watching amateur athletes that weren't paid. Now everybody that plays.
I have to pause it right there.
Whoa. Why was that the point of pride?
Who has ever said when you're at the sporting event, it's like, yeah, man, cracking open a beer, you're tailgating, you're ready for a football game or a basketball game. I'm going to the Duke Carolina game. It's Cameron Indoor Stadium. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
You know what makes it special? That they're not paid.
They're not paid.
I mean, in his slight defense, I think some of what he's getting at is like, there is this idealistic, of course, as we now understand way better than we used to, notion that like player X picks your school and it's special because of that. Like you picked your school and so did they. And they love your school too. No, I know we know better, but that's what I think he's talking about, as opposed to like enjoying the fact that no one's getting paid. Although, some people probably enjoy that too.
Maybe. I have thoughts on those people.
Plays basketball in college is going to be driving a Bentley or a Rolls. I mean, we're going to be seeing rap stars instead of basketball stars. I mean, this is crazy. But you know why it happened? Because Congress sat around and said, oh, well, because of antitrust, we can't let the NCAA do it. It went to the court, and the court made the ruling, unfortunately, a unanimous ruling based on the law. So the law's got to change. Antitrust shouldn't be involved with association.
Okay. Anyway, that's Rand Paul having some hot take. He said the quiet part out loud a few times.
The rap star. Well, the Bentley and Rolls already.
That's not even like a dog whistle either.
That's like level pink in terms of like red alerts. And then he goes to rap stars and you're like, oh, so you mean black people. Cool. Yes, great. You mean black players. You mean you used to be proud of watching the scrappy white players.
Yes.
But no, now you have to watch black players and they're getting paid? Ugh.
Also,
gross.
Basketball. Very quick to point out basketball.
Basketball and rap stars.
Even though we know in football, same thing's happening. But anyway.
Interesting.
Very interesting ways that I would say it's the dog whistle, but it's not even a whistle. That dude was saying the quiet.
Had a megaphone.
He was saying the quiet part out loud on that one. So I bring up this Rand Paul thing to illustrate a couple of points. One, these are decision makers. And we saw this on the local level too when it came to sports wagering. When we had people in the NCGA bringing up the Dixie Classic, things that happened back in the 50s, as though this is why you can't have legalized sports wagering in the state. And not understanding that the Dixie Classic never would have happened if we had legalized sports wagering, because it's up to the books to make sure that everything is good.
Yes.
And now we got Rand Paul, who last time I checked, he likes free markets. If I know my politics correctly, he likes free markets until we talk about unpaid labor for his favorite college sports.
No, we've got to keep that.
Make it make sense to me, Lauren.
We can't let those rappers make money. Ugh. Rap stars. Like, P.S. I'm sorry. If you know anything about college athletics, how do they have the time to have a rap career while they're playing basketball?
We know some that tried.
Well, yes.
I mean, there's a picture behind you that has Malika Boo. Malika Boo actually put out his best Drake stuff on SoundCloud.
Did JJ Redick have some kind of?
He had poetry. It was positioned as poetry, but our friend Bomani Jones always liked to point out, no, read it again.
That's right.
Put a beat to it.
Okay.
JJ was actually writing rap lyrics. I'm like, okay, I'll believe you on that.
Yeah.
I'll say this about all the hand-wringing about college athletics, and we've heard it from politicians. We've heard it from some fans, people who do a lot of hand wringing over what's going on with college athletics.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody can give me a proper response to, okay, if you feel that this is ruining college athletics, please explain to me why engagement, interest, television ratings does not reflect this pushback on what's happening in college athletics.
Yeah, it's a good question.
College football ratings are up. Men's college basketball ratings were up in the regular season. Women's college basketball.
Well, that's the thing that's interesting to me is how quickly you see women's basketball kind of catching up.
Yes.
I think if you want to argue there's been pushback, I mean, that's not to say there's not like a transfer portal and NIL and all that in the women's basketball, because there is. And it's they've done very well with that kind of thing. But I think if you want to see a pushback, there's not as many of the transfers, I feel like, you see more cohesive units, I guess, stay from year to year. I have heard people say that they've gotten more into the women's game as a result of that. And I get it.
But the thing is, to understand that part.
Yeah.
Excuse me a second. All transparency here. We have a cough button, but it doesn't really work in the room. But regardless. What you just pointed out about the women's game and why there's been much more interest in the women's game also can lend itself to the men's game with NIL.
Yes.
Look at Carolina. Okay. Armando Bacot and RJ Davis are sticking around because of name, image, and likeness, rather than trying to make it a go in the NBA because their time has run out. They have incentive to stick around.
Of course.
And that creates more interest in your team. There's more connectivity.
Right.
There.
And I was going to say, and there's more incentive to stay where you are, unless you are this star that sort of transcends where you're playing. You know what I mean? There's more incentive to kind of stay put and, build your connection to that local community so you can keep getting NIL deals.
Yeah. So this idea that, and, college baseball, by the way, it had really great ratings for the College World Series. And you want to talk about a college sports that's dealing with the transfer portal. Like, you can't even make a roster. You think college basketball coaches have a hard time understanding what their roster is going to look like in the offseason. Baseball's worse because you're dealing with
the draft.
Well, you're dealing with SEC schools plucking the top talent from other conferences, and then you also have to take into effect the baseball draft as well. So there's a bunch of things that are going on here, and yet again, college athletics continues to see an increase in television ratings, despite the fact all the things that people say is ruining the game. So it doesn't make sense to me.
What's frustrating for me is it's like if you want to talk about kind of something that's going to make the sport less watchable and more of a competitive imbalance, and you're worried about something involving money in sports. Perhaps you should be more concerned about the fact that the SEC and Big Ten literally have all of the money and thus are going to be able to get any players they want. And so what's the point of any other conference even playing?
There is that.